Hello, everybody. This is Corporal Kindel returning to Dominions 5 as Neifelheim on Impossible versus 15 AI. Wow, just had a big power outage here in Marietta, Georgia. The power was out for 16 hours. About 6 inches of snow dropped on us yesterday. Power went out a couple times. Luckily, it didn't go out until after I had uploaded this first YouTube episode of Dominions 5 yesterday. It actually took 7 hours to upload. It was such a long, which comes to think it, I'm setting the clock for 30 minutes now. It actually took 7 hours to upload. It started at 7:30 a.m. It took about 3:30 when I was roughly done. A couple of hours after that, the power went off the first time. It went out 2 or 3 times over the next 4 hours for about a minute. And then the third or fourth time, it just went out for 16 hours. It just came on about an hour ago. Man, I mean, it really sucks being out of power. I'm telling you, you could do nothing. I mean, I couldn't do anything. No lights. I couldn't even have coffee. Couldn't access the computer. Awful. I did read some of the Dawn manual my old Dom 4 manual by Flashlight. That's about all I got. Okay, so I got done. But let's get back to the game. Okay, so we're in Winnowize mode right now. I had it in Winnowize mode because I was on the OBS. So in Dom, how you get the Winnowize, some of the hotkey is Alt-Enter. Alt-Enter. Okay, so now I'm on full screen. If I go Alt-Enter again, this is on PC. It goes to Winnowize mode. So I'm going to go Alt-Enter full screen mode. So we're on full screen mode. Okay, so what do we got? Oh, by the way, let me change the preferences a little bit on the sound. So I got it set to 40. I think it's a little bit too high. How about 25? We'll try 25. Exit. Okay, set it to 25 for the background sound. Okay, so let's take a brief perusal again at the map. I want to be able to spot where all the nearby. I have to take 7 of these things to win. We set it at 7 points. If I right click on the province, it'll give you the province name, some information about this province. So right now I'm right clicking on this province that has this throne of ascension. You'll see these dotted lines. That shows the provinces that are adjacent. There are different colors for these dotted lines. Yellow means it's an overland connection, which you can go to. There's also blue. Sometimes, although adjacent and connected, you can't go into a blue unless you have a guy that can cross water or go underwater. You know, amphibians, I mentioned that in the first episode, amphibious or poor amphibians. And then there's also red, which are mountains, I believe. There's 2... I think there's a red that goes into caves, and then there's another color which actually goes to mountains, which might be a red or a lighter yellow, maybe white or something. There might be a white in winter. I'm not sure. There's a few different colors. I know the one that it's in cave is kind of a pain because I've went into ones with a cave and you couldn't take like a whole army. I'm going to have to check on that when that happens again. So you want to beware of caves. Caves look like, wow, let me see if I can find a cave province to show you what it looks like. Okay, this is a cave province right here. See, it has this funky, it's just got a cavern. You know, you close up, it just looks like a cavern. So you're kind of limited as the kind of units that can go into a cave. I'm not seeing a whole lot of caves, though. I mean, there's one here. That was the same one because it's on wraparound mode. I'm actually not seeing that many caves. That's weird. Is there just one cave? I think there's only one cave. Maybe some of the cave locations are hidden. I don't know. But on mountains, some of these areas are going to have mountains. You won't be able to cross on a mountain pass unless both... I believe the way it works for a mountain is that both sides of the mountain paths are in heat scales. If one isn't cold or the other isn't cold, you won't be able to, or neutral, you won't be able to cross. So it's got to be one or the other. Both of them have to have some keep scales in order to cross a mountain. That's how that works. So right now we're going to zoom in on the immediate area. These areas right here that have these funky, you can see a water connection right here. These areas that have these funky wheat symbols are the best population and gold province. Those are the ones you really kind of want to zoom in on, because those are the ones that will increase your gold. Right up here it shows your treasury. Your current starting treasury is 400, starting with 4 water and 2 death, because that's what I'm getting from my main site, my site right here, Neifelheim. See, it tells you it produces 4 water and 2 death gems, and it enables the recruitment of my special units. So if you capture some of these other home capitals of the other nations, which I'm going to do, you won't be able to recruit their special units, but you will get control of whatever gems that they're getting, the gem income. That's referred to the gem income. Also, a lot of these provinces will have these special magic sites, and how you get them is by searching. They're basically all around the map. Most of them will have gems. I want to say maybe 70% of them will have some amount of gems, and others won't have gems, but they'll have special sites. Like you might find a library. One of the ones I really like playing as Neifelheim is the library, because you can find sages, which would be a huge boon for me if I could find the sage early in the game. Of course, I'm not counting on it. That would be really, really lucky to get that. Of course, the more lands that I conquer, the more probability I will have of finding one of them. One of my strategies for overcome as you remember in my pretender design, I set my magic skills to -3, which is a huge hit in magic, and I need to overcome that. I plan on overcoming that in a few different ways. One is I want to recruit indie mages, hopefully find the sages, because a lot of the indie mages you'll get more bangs for buck as far as research goes. And I'll talk about that. If I go to my units, recruit units, you'll see right here we got this thing called a Geisha, which costs 225 gold and 3 research. So I right-click on them. Okay, she's got 15 research. I think she normally has 18, but it's showing the -3, so it's gone down to 15. So if I want to figure out my bangs for buck as far as research goes, I would do my cost, 225, and divide that by 15. 225 divided by 15 equals 15. Wow, 15. Right, I should know that. 15 squared is 225, so I'm getting 15 research per gold, per the cost of gold, which, that's not too bad. But they're so expensive too. They also one of the things in this game, another thing is I mentioned in the first episode that gold is really important. It's really hard to get a lot of gold in this game, which is why I wanted emphasize these provinces that have a lot of gold. One of the reasons for that is armies are so expensive. The cost when you recruit these armies, this shows their gold cost, which is pretty straightforward. If I want to recruit this guy, it costs 55 gold and a certain amount of 7 resources, and he takes up 1 recruitment points, which is something new that they've added in Dom 5. But the key point here is the gold. All right, it's not just a cost that you pay to buy the unit, but they also have an upkeep cost. And the upkeep cost, this is one of those little things that I don't know where, it's somewhere in the manual in 4, but I made a mental note of it, is 1, at least on Dom 4. I don't know if it's changed in Dom 5, but in Dom 4, the upkeep cost is 1/15th. 1/15th. So this guy that cost me 225 gold, 1/15th of 225 is 15, right? Because, well, 15 times 15 is 225, so that's really simple. So that means this guy not only costs me 225, but she is costing me 15 gold points a turn in upkeep. So if I had 10 of them, that's 150 every turn. that I'm spending just in upkeep, and I've only got 400 a turn? I mean, that's, wow. So if I want 10 of those, that's almost, well, what, a third, right? I mean, 450 would be, 150 times 3 would be 450. So that's almost a third if I just had 10 of those guys, which is really, really, really expensive. That is just 10 guys of one type, not even counting your armies. One other thing, a really nice tidbit to know about the upkeep costs is these guys that are sacred. Right here, they have the sacred symbol. I mentioned that sacred units get that bless benefit. That I went through that whole thing that I'm doing a major bless. Well, these guys get a bless benefit. One of the other benefits that a sacred unit has is their upkeep cost is cheaper. Instead of, it's half as much as a normal unit's. So a normal unit is 1/15. A sacred unit costs half of 1/15, which is 1/30. So, for example, 1/30, which is half of 1/15, 1/15 times 1/2 is equal to 1/30. And so take, for example, this guy costs 55. This is an important guy in the game, in my strategy, the scout. 55 divided by 1/30, which is divided by 30, is going to have an upkeep cost of 1.8. I'm assuming that's rounded up to 2. Well, 1.8 rounded up to 2. So this guy only costs 2 upkeep gold every turn. So I could have 10 of these guys, and it's only costing me 10. That's huge. I mean, that's huge because they're sacred. They're costing half as much as everyone else. So I can have a large number of these guys and really get my bangs per buck. On one of the videos that I was watching, I did a little, I watched several of the videos on Dom 5 that some of the other people put out. Just, because I'm doing, well, this, like I mentioned, this is my second video that I've ever done. I just want to have an idea of what to, what other people have done and what they haven't done or anything else that I could do that's a little bit different. And one of the things one of the guys said, he made the comment about a Neifelheim scout, and he said that they were worthless. Well, when somebody says a unit is worthless, and that makes me think, well, how am I going to make this guy the most important unit in the game? I mean, that's the way my mind works. If somebody, it's like, in 1940. Right, in World War II, the French said the Ardennes forests are impassable. So what did the Germans do? They decided to move their entire army through the Ardennes forest. Or the Romans, right back in the time of Hannibal, they said the Alps are impassable. So what did Hannibal do? He took an army of elephants and carved his way through an ice-covered path with a warm, water animal, and successfully did that. So when somebody says something is useless, I want to set out to prove this guy wrong. Now remember, this guy is sacred. He is a scout, which is a type of, a scout is a guy that has the infiltration ability, stealthy. See right here, they get a stealthy ability. He's snow move. He's cold resist. Most of these things I talked about already. Stealthy means a unit that has stealth bonus has the ability to infiltrate. He's got 40, I believe. So I believe they can. Okay, so this is stealthy so it can pass undetected to the enemy. The value is estimated. The patroller is required to have a 50% chance. So in other words, 40 patrol points will have a 50% chance of discovering the unit. Believe that's how that works. The interesting thing is I don't want to actually use this guy as a scout. I mean, he certainly has that ability, but look at these stats. He's got 32 hit points. He's got strength of 22, an attack skill of 12, the skin skill of 10, 10 precision, combat speed 14. Okay, you'll say that looks pretty average, except for the hit points, which are higher, because he is, after all, a giant class unit. He's got higher hit points. But remember, I ramped up the bless effects. So this guy, when this guy's blessed, he's going to have a defense skill of 12, because remember, I added +2. He's going to have +2 precision. He's going to have +2 reinvigoration, which is going to decreases. He gets 4 encumbrance every turn, but I'm getting -2 to that, so he's really just getting 2 encumbrance every turn. What else did I get? Snow moved. So this guy, once I start adding some items to him, he's going to be a really... I am looking to create a mini thug, let's use that term, out of scouts, because I can get a lot of them. They're cheap. They only have 2 upkeep cost every turn, and they're sacred. Imagine if I had 20 of these guys, that are blessed. That would be a significant a force to be reckoned with, and that is going to be the backbone of my strategy. It's going to be a warrior scout army to take advantage of the low upkeep cost, the blessed stats, and also just for the fact that these guys are cheap. If I lose a few, it's not going to kill me. If I decide to do a normal blessed strategy and created a big monster with level 0, I mean, on board, and he's killed, well, wow, I'm seriously hurt, because I've lost a major guys, and that will more than likely happen to a single guy because I ramped up the indie defense so much. I've learned in this game it's really easy for a rush guy to die if you don't do a rush monster can die in this game. It's easier than you think. Trust me. You really need to know what you're doing when you equip a rush monster. These guys, however, if I lose a few of them, so what? I can just recruit more. I mean, and they are pretty darn good once you add all the bless effects to them. Especially the fact that these Neifel guys don't really have bowmen. They do have a couple of javelinists, but put this guy at precision 12 and give him a bow of war, which I plan on doing, some of them, and you will see a bow of war that breaks down into 13 shots. Wow, now all of a sudden I've got an archers to be reckoned with. So that they are going to figure prominently in my strategy, these Yodam scouts. Not to mention the fact that in Dom 5, I noticed that they can now recruit 2 of these guys because each normal 4 can recruit 2 points. This guy has 1, so I can actually recruit 2 of them. This is something that they changed in Dom 5. Even though a lot of these leaders have recruitment 1, the goad, which is the priest, actually has 2. So I can only recruit 1 of these guys in there. I think the Scratty is 4, so he's slow to recruit. It actually takes him 2 turns, because 2 plus 2 is 4. It's going to take him 2 turns. This guy has 2. He can be recruited 1 turn, the Geisha. And, of course, these guys are probably going to be your most significant unit in the game. I really want to get a lot of these guys, the Jarls. They are sacred. Okay, so they cost a huge load, but these guys are like, these guys can be made out into super combatants or thugs, depending on how you script them, what spells you have available, what magic items, and whatnot. And they're sacred. So their per turn upkeep cost is going to be a lot less than other units. It's going to be, what, 525 divided by 30? 30 equals 17. Okay, it's still pretty high, but you're getting a massively powerful unit. A really, really powerful unit for 17 upkeep a turn. You're getting much more bangs per buck out of this guy than the Geisha. The Geisha, remember, costs 15. 15, and she has 15 research. This guy is 17, and I get 2 more research points. So I would like to have this guy doing more research until I get to the point where I've got some, where I can kid him out for more of an offensive role. Take advantage of the reduced upkeep costs for sacred units. These guys are actually pretty important because they have a lot of blood. They always have at least 2 water and 2 blood. Blood is really, there's a lot of stuff that you could do with blood. Like I mentioned, some of the really powerful summons or late game summons use blood. There are other summons, not just late games, that use blood, and there are items that use blood, like that. I mentioned the quivering thorns thing of quivering thorns uses blood. So what do we got with this guy? Shape changer. Oh, one of the very other that's very interesting about this Scratty. He's a shape changer. Very, very cool. When this guy, I believe the way it works is they get to 0 hit points. Then he changes, in this case it'll change to a werewolf. It shape changes to a more powerful form. I think that happens when it hits zero hit points. I'm not 100% sure. I'll post. If you see some, when I get to the editing after I do the video, I'm going to go into the Premiere Pro to do some editing, and what I'll do is I'll post some of the rules sections up, because I'm going to double check on some of these things. I don't want to double check on them while I'm doing because it will bog down the video too much. I'd rather do it after the fact. So I'll look up at exactly how it works, but I'm fairly sure that if he takes 31 hit points and goes to 0, he will switch to his shape changer form, which is a werewolf. And what happens when he's a werewolf, he will lose most of his, I'm not sure if he loses all of his magic pass, but I'm pretty sure he loses most of them, if not all. But he becomes really strong. So this is a good unit to have. It's too bad he's not sacred. But that's what happens. So he's got that. He's got the shape changer. He's got snow move and forest viral. And he's old age, which this is one of those things that kind of stinks. In this game, you got this old age thing. And what that means is, I mentioned about afflictions in the last episode, that when you hit a guy in combat, you can get afflictions. By the way, afflictions is the correct term, not ailments, all right? I couldn't remember the term exactly when I was posting it first, but it's actually called afflictions. These old guys that are old age, if you right-click on age, current age is 204, they're at 200, I think it's over their max age. Anything that's over their max age, they get old age. He gets weaker and eventually dies. What happens is he will have a small chance of getting an affliction every turn, which kind of sucks. So what happens is every turn, it's a small chance. I want to say something like 2%. You know, if we had to die 100, that would be like a 1 or a 2 or something like that. So every turn, I think it's 2%, but I am not sure. I'll look that up. He has a chance of getting one of those afflictions randomly. So he may lose an arm due to old age. He may get a gaping chest wound. He may get feeble-minded or mute or something. He may get disease. One of the worst ones is disease. If you get disease, then that will increase the chances of getting afflictions even more, and eventually you die. I think if you get a certain number of afflictions, your chances of outright dying, they will just die. So in this game, guys can just die. I mean, they're like real people. Okay, what happens to real people? They get old and they die. In this game, that will happen. It kind of sucks, but there are ways. There are actually spells which can roll back your age. I forget what the spell is. I'll look it up, but it's a blood spell. It rolls your age back 5 years. There's something called Boots of Youth, which costs blood slaves, by the way, to build, but it stops your guy from aging. So let's say, and this guy, his age was 204. If I could roll back 5 years, get him under this max age, say 199, and just cap him from aging with the Boots of Youth, then I wouldn't have to worry about him getting additional afflictions. That is kind of something you can look at with certain guys. And I will certainly be doing that. I'll be doing that with some of my key guys. I don't want them to get old and get afflictions. Of course, I am in no position to do anything about that at this stage of the game because I am so behind in research and spells and items. In order to get some of these more powerful, I have to get research ramped up, and that's one of the things that I really ham-hocked myself. So I'm going to be looking for these Scratties. All these units are good. You need the priest to do priestly things. He has a sacred level 2, priest level 2. 3 is the one that's really good because that will give you the battlefield. What is it? Global? There's a bless, and then there's a another bless that affects the whole battlefield, which is at level 3. The difference is the battlefield when you're level 3 priest, the battlefield obviously is better because it will affects the entire battlefield. So all of your units that are sacred will become blessed. Whereas the level 2 bless only has a certain range. I want to say something like 5 squares. So what you want to do is you want to, if you don't have a level 3 priest, you want to kind of congregate all your guys that are sacred around a level 2 priest, and then have him script a bless spell as his first action, so they can get all the blessed guys, or maybe have 2 or 3 of them in an army. It depends, so that they can then move out and be blessed. If you don't have that level 3 global bless spell. Okay, so these guys are really important because he's a priest. He's one of your priests. He's got a lot of different skills. I'm not going to go through every single stat of the guy, but this guy now, the Jarl is one of your probably your best leader, Jotum Jarl here, because he's sacred. He also has 80 leadership. And one of the things that he has, one of his special abilities is he has he gets a +1 to his is he inspirational or something? That it's one of his. I'll show you when we get him. He gets a +1 to his morale of the guys that he's leading. That's one of his special abilities. It's not showing it here for some reason, but that is a special ability that he has. He can lead 80 units. 80 units total is what he can lead. There are ways that there are magic items which increase all these stats. Every one of them can be affected by either spells or magic items. Can increase these different things. The hearse is like a regular leader. He's cheaper. He's not. He is sacred too, so he's worth getting. But he doesn't have the. He leads a little bit less. He doesn't get that additional +1 like the other guy does. But he's okay. He's sacred, so you get the one. His upkeep cost is a bit less because he's sacred. So these are all of their special units. So what do they get? They get militia. These are like kind of I want to say chaff units. They got their morale is really low. But they're cheap. They're only 20 gold. These are the kind of guys you want to buy. Maybe buy a few of them and just charge forward to draw archer fire or something like that. What's the word? Cannon fodder. I remember one of my roommates in college. He couldn't. He was like, "What does that mean?" He couldn't remember the word cannon. He used to say cotter fire. Is that cotter fire? I don't know. I guess it's one of those things you had to have been there. Yeah. So a Jotun militia is good for cotter fire. You send them running forth to soak up damage so that your main guys don't get, and that's what they're good for. Spearman is armed with a spear. One of the nice things about spear is it's a longer weapon. So there's this concept in this game called repulsion. Things that have a longer weapon, if they're in battle against somebody that's immediately attacking you with a shorter weapon, there's a chance that the longer weapon will repulse the shorter weapon. Okay, so there's a formula for that. It's something, I believe the shorter weapon guy has to take a morale check against the longer weapon. If he hits, then he has to take another morale check in order to actually attack the guy with the longer weapon. And then there's a chance that he will take damage from the longer weapon simultaneously once he does the attack. I will post that up here again. I'm not 100% sure of the exact details on that, but I'm fairly sure that's how it works. Then spear is a longer weapon, so that's the benefit of that. The spearmen are forcing the other guys, even if they hit, they got to take morale checks to further hurt them. So it's kind of like an additional layer of defense, I guess is a good way to look at it. So that's what's good about the spearmen. I like them for that. So what do we have? Hurler. The hurler, problem with the hurler is the range of hurling is so doggone is just not where is the range of this attack? Hand axe boulder, R6, range 6, I believe that's how that's is so farging short. It's like, really, range 6? I mean, 6? Come on. I mean, you could throw it and the guy will be on top of you already. So you're throwing him at him. He's got leather armor. Strength, tactical, defense skill 6 is not that good. I mean, frankly, it's just not that good in such a short range. I mean, your enemies are going to be on top of you. So they're not really one of my favorite units. I usually don't buy them. I mean, I just don't. What else do we got? That was the hurler. I went over the spearman, the militia. So who's next? Who's Karl? Who's Karl? Who's Jarl? So these guys are armed with axes, and they have shields. They have Hallberg Iron Cap shields, so they cost some more resources. And they're 35 gold. They're more expensive. They're not sacred, but they got a much better defense skill 11. It's almost double that of the hurler. Remember, the hurler was 6. It's almost double that of the hurler, which is nice. So that's what you get out of him. He's a little better combat unit, and he's armed with an axe. Okay, so now we have the Husjarl. Oh, for God's sake, you gotta be kidding me. It's 30 minutes already? Okay, I'll try to get through this really quick. I want to do at least a few moves. Can't believe that 30 minutes went on already. Okay, strength, attack, skill, defense, 12. So what is this guy? He's armed with a spear. Remember, the spear has has a length 4, so it has that it has the repulsion benefit, and he's got better stats than the spearman. Okay, this guy is more expensive. You can think of him a little bit more. He's a more veteran guy than your standard spearman. He's 35 gold. What was the other spearman? This spearman is 30, so he's 5 more, only 5 more, and he's got a little bit better stats. So this guy has what? 10, 12. Okay, 17, 20, 10, 12, 10. 17, 20, 10, 12, 10. 17, 20, 10, 12, 10. Well, that looks the same. Protection 15. What did the spearman have? 14. He's got one additional protection. This guy's morale is 12. This guy's morale is 13. So this guy, you get, he's 5 more bucks, but you get for that, you get an additional protection and an additional morale. He's a little bit more veteran. Other than that, they're mostly the same. And then what do we have? Herdmen. Herdmen are really expensive. They're 40 versus 35, but they have 16 protection. Remember, the other guy had 15. 21, 11, 14, 10, 12. So that's strength, attack, defense, precision, combat. 21, 11, 14, 10, 12. 21, 11, 14, 10, 12. 21, 11, 14, 10, 12. So you can see that the other guy's a little better. 21, 1 point better there. 11, 1 point better there. 12, 10. Oh, for God's sake. I forgot it now. 12, 10, 12, 10, 13 versus 14. His defense skill is better. 14, 10. He's a little bit slower, but he's a little bit step up on the food chain here. He's probably your best veteran unit. His stats are a lot better in this area. And then we got the skin shifter. Again, this guy is similar. He's not magic and he's not sacred, but he does have the ability to shapeshift. It doesn't show that skin shifter warrior appears enchanted. Well, he changes shape to a wolf. When he can, I don't know why it's not showing you the shapeshifter icon down here, but when this guy has a chance of turning into a werewolf, I think when he gets damaged, I think the way it works is it works similar to the other guy. He gets down to where he's almost dead, and then he will turn into a werewolf. He will turn into a werewolf, so he has a second life. You can kind of look at that as a second life. He's also regeneration really, really good. Anything with regeneration is good. 10%. So he's 70, so he's going to regenerate 7 a turn, which is really, really nice. He's an expensive unit. He's 70 gold, and he's not sacred, so you're 70 divided by what, 15? That's going to be what, roughly 6, I think, 6.6 gold upkeep a turn for this guy. But he is a powerful guy. This is a really, really good guy. They're limited recruitment to it. I think they're capital only or something like that. But he is going to be one of the main guys that I want. And as is your Neifelheim Jarl. I believe he is the only unit, non-leader unit that is sacred. So I'm going to want him. He is, of course, the backbone of your army. He's sacred, so that means his upkeep, he costs 155 gold, but his upkeep cost is divided by 30 instead of 15, so he's going to be cheaper in bangs per buck. You want to have more of these guys because they're not going to cost you as much as turns go by. 66 hit, or is that 60? 66. Interesting. The skin shifter was 70. This guy's actually a little bit less, but that's fine. Magic resistance. So what do we got? We got massive strength. 25, 12, 13, 11, 14. Those are all pretty good stats. Recruitment move. So, the only thing that's bad about it is they're really expensive at 155 gold. I mean, but, you get a powerful unit. And, I'm going to like these guys a lot just because, like I said, you're getting more bangs per buck because their upkeep cost is 1/30th instead of 1/15th because he's sacred. Plus, remember, he is sacred. All those bless effects that I took that imprisoned pretender, and now all those bless effects are going to go to this guy. So I am going to be getting that these guys. These guys are my scouts are going to be my backbone, and with the skin shifters, and of course some of the other units too. But these are my backbone of my army. Is going to be these guys, the scouts, which I'm going to use as warriors. I'm going to use them as let's call them a mini thug. We'll call them a mini thug or a really great. We'll call the scouts a really great warrior or a mini thug. So that's what I'm looking to get out of the scouts. And the nice thing so I'm looking at the scout is actually more of a unit, is the way I'm going to be employing them in the game versus an actual leader. Because they are a scout, they have no leadership. I'm not going to be using them. I'm going to be using them as a warrior. Eventually, when I get items, I'm going to be giving them to these scouts. The ones that they're going to end up being really strong are going to get items. I'm going to have guys that get in the Hall of Fame. Remember, I increased the Hall of Fame entries to 15. A good chunk of those guys are going to be scouts. You just watch. Just watch. I'm going to have my scout warrior mini thugs are going to be in the Hall of Fame. Okay, so that's going over all the units. Okay, so a very brief but important thing. I know it's taking a lot of doggone time to really explain some of this stuff, but it is really, really important. One other thing. So you're going to be asking, players are going to be asked, how do I increase the amount of money that I get? Because I explained money is really important and it is hard to come by. It is really important. And there are a few ways. The main way is by building forts. You can capture these provinces, build forts. If you build a fort somewhere, what happens is it has a... Okay, this is kind of weird, but this is how things work in this game. Each of these provinces has a different resource, has these different stats for the provinces. It has a population, supplies. If you look up here, supply usage, that's how much the guys that are in the province right now are using. They have 1165, which is unbelievably huge because it is your home province. This is going to be extraordinarily rare. You only see supplies over 1,000. You're generally only going to see in home provinces or really, really good farming provinces. Even the farming provinces won't get this high because they got a huge population mainly. But that's how that works. Income, 400 a turn. That's how much I'm getting a turn. I'm using up 24. That's my expenses. So you can gauge how much you're getting a turn. I'm getting roughly 380-ish a turn every turn right now, but I'm going to hardly have anything. Resources, okay, is it 94? Believe that's what it's generating. it generating 94? Resources. It has resources at the current time of 94. I think it generates 94. The difference is resources don't keep accumulating. You got to use them that turn or you lose them. Whereas gold, whatever you don't use of gold can accumulate. Resources don't. Recruitment points. Okay, so I got 257 that I can use for units and 2 for leader units. So that's how that's divided. Units, leader. And then defense. So each of these province has a province defense that you can increase. Province defense is like local militias, okay? Each one of these provinces, so if you capture them, you can just ramp up. The nice thing about province defense is it's guys that are they're always defending the province. You don't have to pay. You only pay for them once, but they're locked to that province. You can't move them. They only appear if that province gets attacked. In general, I won't be using that much. I usually will put it up to 5 or 6 or so when I take a province. Sometimes, however, I will ramp it up on a case by if somebody declares war on me and they're adjacent to a really important province, I will start ramping it up. But that's how I use it. I prefer to keep it really low until I need it, and there's no unrest. And these are what the scale that's going on in this province at the current time, which is exactly the scales that I chose. Remember when I set up my pretender god, I had to choose the scales? Because this province is all mine right now, and that's how the scales are. I'm getting 2 Dominion. I set it at 6, but it's starting off, okay, it starts off at 2. It hasn't grown that much yet. I got 1 order, which is what I bought. 1 production, 3 cold, 3. Remember, I ramped it up to 3 corn, which represents growth and death. And then I took -3, it's little black dots, which represent drain, magic drain. I took minus. Remember, that's where I took the big hit. So the only thing that's a little bit different is it's only starting off with 2 candles instead of 6, even though I set it up to 6. Okay, so that's how these things are. These are my 2 guys that I'm starting off with. Now I'm going to right-click on this guy, and then I'm going to press R on the keyboard because I'm going to rename him. Okay, I'm going to rename him. He's going to be called Bowser. He is Bowser. Bowser, the Jotunn Hearst Bowser. And what I am going to do with Bowser is he is going to become a prophet. Prophet, or you can only, let me talk a little bit about the prophet. You can have 1 prophet in the game. You got a pretender and a prophet. The pretender was the guy that I created, which was the idol of man. He's not going to appear until 36 turns because he was imprisoned. So he's out 36 turns, give or take a couple of turns. This guy takes a turn to become a prophet. Once he becomes a prophet, what he gets is he's going to get 3. The way it works is he's going to automatically get 3. He's going to become sacred and get 3 priest scales. Remember the guys in the guy that was a priest, he's got 2 of these. Priest level 2, he'll get a priest level 3, and he will be sacred. So that's what's going to happen. That'll happen if you choose a guy that already to be a prophet that already has 3 or more. Then he'll just add 1 to his priest level. So if my guy was say level 3 already, a level 3 priest already, he would become level 4. So you're really getting more bangs per buck by choosing a guy that has 0 priest scale, and he automatically becomes a priest. Another bonus of the priest, one of those little things is of the prophet, the prophet and the priest, I believe in number 4, don't cost any upkeep. You actually don't have to pay upkeep for your prophet and your pretender god. So they work for free. They just work for free. Okay, and I am going to have a lot of scouts in this game. So I'm just going to call each one of my scouts, I'm just going to name a letter because I don't like having 10 different guys that have the same names on large games, I'm going to end up with a lot of leaders. So I really want to have unique names going on for some of my guys, like the scouts and some of my primary guys. Usually, if I get a whole lot of researchers, I'm not going to worry about it. If I happen to find the lab, the library with the sages, I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to put probably 30 of them in a province if that happens. Because eventually I'm going to find a research colony somewhere, which is one of the ways I want to increase my research ability. I'm not going to be starting this game off, obviously, with magic. I'm going to probably go a year, even into 2 years, before I even get a reasonable research ability. What I'm going for is an early blitzkrieg attack with an army of both sacred mini thug scouts and those giants. So what do we have here? These little things are showing your buildings that are in this thing. Neifelheim, that's my capital. That's showing that I have this thing down here that's generating those special points, the recruitment and the thing. That's a special site. It's got a temple. There's already a temple there. I don't have to build one there, and it's got a lab. So if I'm looking here, lab and temple, so that's what these buildings, and it's got a fortification. So you can see this little fort-looking thing, the yellow fort. So it's showing the buildings. All the buildings that you'll have are going to show down here. So if I left click on the fort, it's got administration 30. It's got these different stats. Supply storage 500. If the fort gets besieged, it can supply up to 500 points worth of guys, I believe is how it works, before they start starving. So if you got a lot of guys in there, and if you have 1,000 points worth of guys and it's only 500 and somebody's besieging your castle, you're in trouble. So what else? Wall integrity, current siege defense 30, integrity is 500. Basically, what happens when enemies siege your castle, they got to do damage to the wall before they can storm the castle. In this case, it's 500 points. The guys count. Each one of the guys that attacks has basically what's the word? A siege strength of some point. Giants usually have more. Like say one soldier may just be 1 point. I'm not sure how they can. I'll have to look that up, and I will, like I said, I'll write it in the background here of how much points they count. But in a very nutshell, you have to knock out the walls before you can storm the castles. Castles can be really, really tough because there's only one opening, and you got to go through the middle. And what happens is they just start massing all around that opening, and it's hard to go through. They got archers on the walls shooting down. You're taking a lot of damage when you're going up against a strong castle. Early in the game, however, they don't have as many guys in the castle, and you can take castles. Many of the castles, they won't have to worry about it because they're not all going to have huge armies defending them. But I can assure you the capitals will, except if you can catch them early in the game. So that's why there's certain castles you want to have those ethereal units or flyers, some way to get back. Another good guy to have is guys that have the trample ability. There are certain units that have a trample ability, elephants, and what they do is they will actually run over guys. So because what happens in a battle, a guy moves up adjacent. You can't go through a guy. When you're adjacent to them and locked in battle, you actually can't go through them, except for flying units and guys that can trample like elephants. Elephants just plow through them and they start kicking them. They're actually a very powerful unit. Those trample guys, because when they kick a guy, that guy takes damage, blunt damage. Very, very good unit. Problem with trampling guys like elephants is, if they break, they'll actually charge back over your guys and start kicking your guys. I don't know how many times I've learned, another one of those things I learned the hard way. You got leaders, and if an elephant comes trampling, he will kick your one of your leaders aside, and I've lost mages that don't have got hit points the hard way. You really, really want to be careful where you put tramplers when you have them in your army. They are Very powerful, but also can be unbelievably crummy when they rout over your own guys. Then you'll start seeing the damage going on you. Okay, so let us what was I on? I was talking about gold. I got sidetracked a little bit. Build castles to get gold. What'll happen is it will double the amount of resources. You build a castle in this province. Well, it's not really showing the values because I haven't searched it out. Let's go to the first turn, and then I'll maybe I can explain that a little bit more. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to recruit. Right here, I want to recruit units. And I've got 400 gold to spend. What do I want to get for my first guy? Well, the first thing I want to get is I want to get a Jotun Jarl, which is a really good leader, and I'm going to get another. I want to get another scout, and let's get some units. 215. We're going to take one Neifelheim. I'm left with 60, so we're going to take 2 more spearmen because they're 30 apiece. I've actually, wow, did I use, my -1 resource. Wouldn't you know? -1. See how this guy is slightly ghost-like? That means I can't recruit him this turn. He will carry over to the next turn because I don't quite have enough resources. He costs 17 resources. I only had 16 left after producing these guys. So let's take him off for the time being. What about the javelin? Where's the javelinist? He's 17 too. So he only got 16. Well, that's a bummer. This guy's 70 gold, 5 resources. If I take him off, 33. Okay, that's fine. I'm not gonna have. I'm just, I'm not gonna be able to. I'm not gonna spend a guy in a perfect manner. Okay, just an absolute perfect use of absolute. You know what I mean? Min max these to the extent everything. This is not going to happen. I'll just keep the 30 gold. The gold will accumulate, but these extra 16 won't. Actually, I take that back. I'm just going to put him in the queue. Okay, so he'll come up next turn, but next turn I'll only have -1 for my resources. Whereas I had, I think I had, 98 this turn, if I remember correctly. I will see 97 because the -1 carried over to the next turn. Okay, so that's what I'm going to buy this turn. What else did I wanted to do? I don't have any research, so I'm not really going to talk about this research right now because I just don't have any research points. I'll talk about that when it happens. Oh, mercenaries. Right, this is one of those things. So you can, this is something, you can hire these things. Right now, there are mercenaries that kind of appear, well, probably every month. I don't know how often they randomly appear, and you could hire them. I didn't hire them. This guy, Victor's Villains, what does he have? He got 10 men and wants 37 gold for employment. Demands 30 by most other nations. Okay, so if I was to put 37 gold, I could hire this guy. So why don't let's go back to recruitment, and just for the hell of it, I'm going to take this guy off. I'm going to take these 2 guys off, and I am going to, and now see how I got 60 gold. What I am going to do is I'm going to take the merc, and I'm going to hire them. I'm going to put 37. I'll just bid for them. Why not? Let's see if I get that. We'll put 37. Okay, so I put a bid there. I put a bid of 37. So now I'm going to go back to the recruit pool. I've only got 23. So what can I get for 23? I can't get anything for 23, can I? That's fine. I'll just let this accumulate over to next turn. Okay, so we put a bid in for the Victor's Villains. And we're going to try to get him. Okay, so let's do the first turn, and I'll do end turn. I'm also gonna end. I'm probably at 40 minutes. I really don't want this to run too long, so let us just end turn. So when you're ready to compile a turn, you go up here to the top and you click end turn. It's compiling the turn. All the other nations. My guy should have and a proclamation. All the so 4 of the nations that I'm up against have proclaimed a prophet. Okay, see the propagation from Bowser the Jotunheim Hearth shall be known as the prophet of Corporal Kindel. Yay! And there was much rejoicing. Yay! Proclamation from Tianchi. Okay, Suga Lao, the noble shall be known as prophet. So this is a nation that's kind of modeled after Chinese spring and autumn age of China. Ermor, Vitreous the centurion will be known as the prophet of Kerberos. Ermor. So these are the guys that are kind of they're modeled a little bit after the Romans. So they got like legionnaires. And Archocephaly, Helos the Myrmidon shall be known as the prophet of Figoius. Archocephaly are like Greeks. Okay, they got Greeks. They got like what kind of guys do they have? They got Greek gods, and I want to say like phalanxes or something like that. They're like Greek-like nations. So those were three of the nations we know we're up against: Archocephaly, Ermor, and Tianchi. Okay, so I actually spent a lot of time talking. Let me. I am going to rename this guy. I'm going to change his name to Fido. Okay, so we got Fido is the leader. This guy is a scout, and then we're going to name him. Just go to R and then B. So all you do to rename a guy is just right click, and then press R on the keyboard. And of course, on the initial setup screen, you had this set renaming as allowed. If renaming wasn't allowed, you won't be able to rename. Okay, so I'm going to end here for this episode because I probably went 40 minutes. I don't want it to run too long, so I'm going to go back. Let me go back to the Winimize mode. I have a tendency to want to explain a lot. I hope that's okay with you guys. Explain things a lot, and it takes a lot of time. So I hit Control. I hit Alt Enter so this is on a PC to go to Winimize mode. So you can see that it's on Winimize mode right now. So I'm going to go to the OBS right now. I'm going to hit stop recording. So I'm going to end this episode here. I hope everybody has a great day and tune in for episode 2. I only got one turn done, but trust me, we're going to be ramping up. We got a lot of time to ramp up. So I will see you all for episode 2. I'm going to probably do it tonight. It's only 8:30, so I'll try to do one more episode tonight. So I will see you all for this next episode. Take it easy and have a great weekend. See you later. Bye.